Welcome to Impact, where immigrants and Americans discuss America today. I'm your host, Pamela Anchang. On today's show, we will be exploring how the spirit of resilience in immigrants enriches and impacts America. And to do that, we have an awesome array of panelists who reflect the spirit. Multi-talented artist-producer, Cuban-born Rodri Rodriguez. She's president and CEO of Rodri Entertainment. And mark this, she's a producer of the famous Mariachi Festival USA, considered the preeminent mariachi festival in the world. We also have French-born Ivan Bitton, founder of Ivan Bitton Style Houseand and co-founder of Marie Westwood Magazine. He has had the privilege to style some of the most famous people that you know, including Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, Brad Pitt, Salma Hayek, even Vice President Al Gore, Bruno Mars. You don't want to miss this guy. He's a lot of fun. And also we have Nigerian-born bright Enabulele, an entrepreneur who's going to teach us a thing or two about blockchain, cryptocurrency, and all of that. More importantly, they're going to talk about how their spirit has led them to success and how you can make a difference in your own lives. And so this is a show you don't want to miss, so stay tuned on Impact. And so now we're going to start the show with the movers and shakers, immigrants who really manifest resilience. So I want to welcome you guys to the show. Mr. Bright Enabulele, welcome to the show. Welcome to Impact.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yes, this is your second run on Impact, and today we're going to be getting some updates on a lot of stuff, right?
Yes, of course.
Yes, and I'm so honored to have you on the show, Rodri J. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Pamela. It's a privilege.
Yes. How do you say in Spanish? Well, just simple hola. I don't want to get so complicated.
No, just hola.
Hola is great. And I have Mr. Frenchie right next to me, Monsieur Ivan Bitton.
You do.
Well, merci d'être là. Welcome, Ivan. Let's call the American way.
Ivan, allez, okay, Ivan, that's fine.
Either one is fine, right?
Thank you so much for having me over.
You're welcome. So I really have this great troupe of success stories of, immigrants who are doing amazing stuff. And I just want to ask you guys, this is a panel discussion. We're going to talk about what is it that makes the immigrant so resilient? Like, you hit us, we come here, there are challenges, and you still have the smiles on your faces. So let's start from the beginning. You arrived in the United States. What are you thinking? What's the next steps? Brad, I want to hear from you. When you landed, what airport did you come, by the way?
Of course, the major airport, Los Angeles.
LAX?
LAX, straight up, LAX.
And what were you thinking?
Well, it was a beautiful country.
Uh-huh.
And my goal was, how do I empower other people that are like-minded, like me, from Africa, who have the same zeal, the same will like I do.
Right.
And first, it's just about looking for the community that represent what I represent.
Correct.
And I have to look for them.
Absolutely. So, Ivan.
Yes,
I'm going to defer a question to you.
Okay.
So you arrived in the United States.
Right.
What airport did you arrive at?
LAX.
Oh, LAX also?
Yes.
Everybody came here.
Yes.
Why came
but
you through
But I
JFK?
have to tell you something.
Yes.
I literally cried for 12 hours.
Why?
Because the last minute I left, I was like, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? Because I did love Paris. I did have a lot of friends in Paris. And I sort of cried and cried and cried. And I wasn't sure I was doing the right thing.
Right.
And then I only had one friend.
Oh my gosh, that's a typical story.
And he picked me up and he said, oh, I'm going to take you to Melrose. and that's when I cried the most.
Oh my gosh.
Because I come from Paris.
Yes.
And he's taking me on Melrose,
No,
which is the most depressing place.
Really?
Coming from Paris.
I know.
You
I understand.
know what I mean.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
Your story is different because you came from a developed country to the United States. So it's not quite the same like I came from Cameroon.
Right.
Rodri, your story is pretty unique. We're not going to go into that right now. But what you're thinking as you're growing up about how you're going to make it, because you are the founder of Mariachi Festival. That's really the most recognized in the world. How did you transcend the child that you were as an immigrant kid to where you are today?
I would need these two gentlemen to leave so I could have my own show for the next 4 hours.
Spill it out.
But very much unlike them, I came when I had just turned 7, so I did not come by choice.
Exactly. Yes.
And as you mentioned, we can talk about that later. However, the transition between childhood and being in a foster home and ultimately having to deal with the wounding of what the child felt was an abandonment, and then living in an abusive foster home, and eventually finding, my family again here, coming here to Los Angeles and living with them, and starting a career. It was against all odds, and it still continues to be basically in a career where it's male dominant and still be successful. So, there's a lot of different stories within a story.
Yes.
However, every immigrant without exception is a unique story. We all come here for different reasons.
Yes.
We all experience different discriminatory acts towards us. We're still experiencing it.
Yes.
So it's you have a plethora of people to be interviewing for the rest of your life,
Absolutely,
Pamela.
I certainly do, and that's why I wanted to ask the question last, because your story now, you came here as a child. Now these gentlemen came here as adults, grown folks. Bright, I want to know from you, what brought you in the first place to the United States in the sense, like, in terms of ambition?
Well, my life started from Germany, so most of my educations happened in Germany, so I was more refined, exposed to things that can impart life. So me coming to America, I was trying to change, look at capitalism, and Germany was more like a socialism, where you can only do certain things and have limitations. Me looking at the story, I know American, there's no limitation. Sky is your limit. It all depends on how you want to drive yourself. And I said, well, what would be my destination? I decided to come to California because I have a group of families.
Right.
Because it's all about who you met first.
That is
I'm just willing to, because you can see a lot of homelessness in California. Imagine you come in California and have no one to go to. You run out of your money, you got to go back to Germany.
Yes.
But I have families that were there to say, hey, come here, tell us what you want to do. And me, I always have this entrepreneurial spirit all my life.
Yes.
And I saw how things were done in Germany. A little bit different from here in America because it was more organized than in America. Germany is more organized than America, I'll let you know.
Yes.
So there was nothing new for me.
Right.
All I was coming here for do is just to empower myself and empower other people with what I've learned in Germany.
Yes, I have to make this clear because even though you're Nigerian born, you were raised in Germany.
Yes.
So you and Monsieur Ivan
we're very similar.
Right here,
very similar.
You guys come from developed countries.
Yes.
Now I came from straight up, like they say, straight up from Compton. I came straight up from Cameroon. Right there in Central Africa.
I'll stop you. My story is different because I experienced racism in Germany.
Okay.
So I learned that process in the early 90s. It was a different stories over there in Germany. So whatever we see here, I'm already used to it. So when I came to America, I was not dealing with complex no more.
So let me ask you your mindset in terms of the resilience. So you already have that ingrained based on your experiences in Germany, and so what you experience here in terms of like discriminatory practices, or you don't internalize that, you just keep forging ahead?
First of all, my background, I came from Benin Kingdom. It's a very strong
Benin Kingdom,
very strong monarchy.
Nigeria.
Yes, we have a very strong renaissance. So that spirit in me already shows me wherever I go, I have no choice other than to win.
Okay.
Because most of my forefathers are heroes.
Correct.
They were not designed to fail.
So you were not coming here to fool around.
Because DNA has memories.
Ivan, I have a question for you. Is there such a thing as the immigrant spirit or mentality?
Yes.
What is it?
Yes. Well, when I first came to America, I was very inspired because so much was lacking compared to Europe. You know what I mean? So I felt like for instance, they had never heard at the time in '93 when I arrived, they had never heard of cappuccino. You know what I mean? So all the coffee you would have was like jus de chaussette, as they call it in French, which is horrible because it's juice from the sock.
Oh,
that is an expression, you know what I mean? Like it was like transparent, you know what I mean? So there was so much to be built, even though it was just till 1993. So I think that being an immigrant, all of us, I think that the first thing you see when you come to America is you looking at all the things that you have in your country that they don't have here that you can bring. Okay. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be, yes, I'm French. And so, of course, being French, I think, is a little bit of an advantage, especially with the wealthiest community. Correct. They look you up and this and that. But the reality of it is that I saw all the things that were lacking here. You know what I mean? That we had in France, just like cappuccino. 1993, there was no cappuccino in America.
And so what did you do?
Well, I didn't do cappuccino.
I was thinking
I'm
that
just giving you an example, honey.
Yeah, I thought you would tell me. I found there was no cappuccino.
He serves cappuccino to his clients now.
That's what I was going to say. Well, thank you for helping out, Rodri.
Honey, it was just an example.
Rodri. Yes, Rodri, I want to understand.
But what I'm saying is, wherever you come from, whichever country you come from, I think that the power of being an immigrant is that you see opportunities that Americans themselves do not see. Just like when I was living in Paris, I noticed that that all my American friends were successful.
Okay.
They were like importing vintage jeans and whatever they saw what was missing in France and they would bring it and being very successful.
Yes.
So you don't have to be from France or from Germany or how do you call the Western countries to actually be successful, because you can be from Cuba. Every country that you come from, the first thing you notice when you come to America is what is it that they're lacking.
So the opportunities
that Americans themselves do not see, and that is why a lot of Asians, for instance, a lot of us immigrants become very successful in America because we saw the opportunity that Americans don't see because they don't even know it exists.
There you go. I think it's like taking advantage of, things that people have and take for granted. I want to know from you all, though, what have been the setbacks that you've encountered and how did you overcome them? I want to start with you, Bright.
Oh, well, in everything in life, it's all about the community that you made to deal with.
Yes.
Most of our African communities are broken because they don't have finance, they don't have banks.
Yes.
So financing in a business, you have to go through third parties, and they can always tell you no. So starting as a business here from African community is a very tough thing.
Say that again.
Because they are left with nothing to work with. So you go through a process where you borrowing credit that you're not supposed to take because you don't have that lending process.
Yes.
There's no Nigerian banks, there's no Cameroon banks, and I think that things they need to work on. Because for you to be an entrepreneur, in a place like America, you have to have finance and companies and banks that believe in what you want to do, and they have to start from your own country that represents you. Chinese have that, Asia has that, all that.
Because they've been established here for much
but
longer.
Africa has zero.
Yes.
So what we're left with, we just have to see and look, learn, and in the process of learning, sometimes you fail.
And make so many mistakes.
I fail many times. I borrow money that I'm not supposed to borrow. I pay with all my life. Then I started advocating for people how to get better credit, build their business, and get business lending instead of using their own personal credit.
Yes.
Because I learned the hard way.
Yes.
Because all my life in Germany was that American dream. You come here, you have your homes, you have your car. But I forgot that it all depends on the community that you're tied to. It's all about community. So whether you're Chinese or you're American, it's all about your community. If your community is strong, you do well.
I read an article, and that inspired me to do the show today, that to be successful, for an American to be successful, they have to have that immigrant mindset. Seriously,
yes.
of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Really, I read that. Yeah. So, Rodri, yes, you came here as a child, but still an immigrant, meaning within that immigrant community. What did you experience in terms of kinds of setbacks that you might have encountered that you thought, if I was born here with the typical American family, I should be way ahead of this game? So what were some of your own encounters?
I've never had any setbacks. I've never looked at my life as having had any setbacks. But I will tell you that those of us that come at a young age, we become parents to our parents because we find that our parents don't speak the English. And all of a sudden, we are immersed in English first, English only. And so we're the ones that have to get our parents through getting a driver's license and getting Social Security cards and getting a bank account and getting a job. So it's a great responsibility to become a parent when you're, 13, 14 years old. Yes. Then comes, the exposing of your own self, of what am I going to do with my career?
Exactly.
I'm maybe not smart enough to get scholarships, and scholarships are not readily available for Latinos at a given time. So you choose. I went into the workforce immediately graduating high school, and at the same time helping at home. So the majority of us, it's not entrepreneurship.
Yes.
It's survivalship.
Survivalship.
Because the majority of immigrants that have come to this country have come here out of necessity, because they were oppressed in their countries, because they had no freedom of speech, because they were being murdered, because survival for their children was second to none. And so it's a little bit different than coming in search of the American dream, which is wonderful, and it's a great thing to come for.
Yes.
But the majority of us did not come under the auspices of that. Therefore, the work was a little bit more, it was more prevalent, and it was more survival than anything else.
That's so important that you said you don't look at them as setbacks. Is it that, Ivan, we don't see this as setbacks because we're just so happy to be here because of the opportunities, like you said, the myriad opportunities.
Yeah.
Is this a value? Where do these values come from? Is it desperation, survival, Or is it something that is ingrained in our cultures back home?
For me to come here, you mean?
For us to survive, to keep going and not see the setbacks and be so
yeah.
happy to just be here.
Yeah. Well, I was just happy to be here because of the weather. I don't know if you guys
Talking
know.
about
I don't know.
California.
Well, I don't know, because you complained since you got here an hour ago, baby.
I did. I complained because it was no. The heat. I mean,
Okay.
it's 101 degrees today. Okay.
And without air conditioning.
But that being said, I don't know. But Paris it can be a beautiful place.
Yes.
This is where I'm from. I'm very lucky, and but it can also be a very depressing place.
I know.
Very depressing. And then when you come to LA, there's this brightness, this joy of living,
Yes.
and there's all these communities, and there's all these people from all over the world living. It was just like when I moved to LA, it was just like a revelation.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
And a revolution.
and a revolution, and a revolution. And over the years, I was very happy, very lucky to build an extraordinary successful business. And now I'm very successful, and and I don't regret coming here. Obviously, you know what I mean. And these are the opportunities that, even though I'm from Europe, I would have never gotten in Europe, because Europeans, as a general, are very negative people. Of a very negative mentality. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Where when you come here, everything seems to be possible and open, and you can rearrange. You can create your own. My name is Jean-François,
and build a brand out of it.
Yeah.
On that note. We're going to adjourn this conversation to the next segment.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Such a spirited conversation. We're going to go into the profile. So thank you for this great discussion. You're listening to Impact on KPFK 90.7 FM. I'm Pamela Anchang.